So we are here gathering to learn and to practice the meditation. So today the center has been very busy with so many activities and so many people coming to support the center from early days. People from London, Inverness, Perth, Dundee, Fraserburgh, and so on. And it was a kind of a happy a moment and enjoying. And in the meantime, after a couple of hours, all have to go back to their own homes. So it's kind of a coming and a going. And there is no certain things. There is no certainty in anything. Everything just comes and it goes. And there is a saying that in our life, when we are walking to somewhere, or in our journey, in this life journey, we bump into so many people, but within that so many people, certain people give some marks in our hearts and in our memories. And yet, eventually, they also fade away. They also just disappear in the background and never been remembered. It's the way of the nature that normally happens in that way. And the practice of a meditation is to recognize this change and this impermanent nature of the entire things, that nothing remains the same, everything must change. A simple fact is that the reason everything has to be changed because nothing remains or nothing arose independently. Each and everything are interdependent, arises. And this a change, in order to realize that it is not through the investigation by thinking, it's not through by reading of books and sounds like it makes sense, that with the practice of our own self, we began to realize these changing from the micro level. Even into the micro level, if we realize that in our life nowadays we see more old people, we see more people dying, we see more people feel suffered by different diseases, which compared to the past, when we were young, we did not feel that, we did not see that, we did not notice them at all. And that's simply because becoming a mature, we began to realize that people around us, in the same age of ourselves, or same a little bit of older than us, and we see them as old and getting fragile, and also some of them even die. We began to see, we began to notice them. And that notice probably only for the temporarily or some time, only just for a couple of hours or days, like when we attend the funeral services. We feel sorry for a person who passed away, but in the meantime, oftentimes people may think that one day I will be like him or her, sleeping or lying on this casket. And that realization probably for just maybe a few minutes or a half an hour, And as soon as we leave the cemetery or the chapel, then again back to normal. So that realization at least began, and seeing the change leads to the ending of things. Whereas in the practice of a meditation, rather than understanding or seeing and noticing the outside of ourselves, within ourselves, we began to notice from the physical body and as well as a mental state. And in terms of the physical body, we realize that why our body itself becomes fragile and it changes. And that's simply because of these elements coming together, forming it, interdepending in one another. And as a result of that, doesn't matter how much we look after it, it's a nature of a decay. It slowly decays and will not support from one element to the another. And with that, not supporting us, or the support becomes less and less, and that causes the illnesses and suffering, physical suffering. So with that, we also realize that we are getting old, we are getting fragile, and eventually we also realize that this body is not mine and we have to leave this body behind. And in terms of the mind, and the mind itself also, we realize that these are the conditioned mind, and this conditioned mind also changes. And it is changing, never been permanent entity. It's a nature of the change that hides us to understand. They call it santati, continuity, hiding the reality. And the practice helps us to recognize this mind, that how much I am thinking and what makes it think and what is the conditions that keeps it going on. And that realization is the key factor of the practice, and that gives the true realization, which is not by just the thinking and investigating, but it is from the realization by our own practice, by our own observation. So this is the practice that we have to develop until arises the wisdom, seeing that and this continuity keeps us hiding to see the reality, whereas practice is to see beyond this continuation process and see the reality pertaining to itself, that the nature of the change is there, and that is the reason why we are suffering. So I have offered this as a reflection for tonight to practice meditation. So now on, let's practice for 20 minutes.